Hi, it's Orion's Angel and welcome to another video. Now today I'm going to be talking about music in video games. Yes, that's right, soundtracks. In my last video I talked about soundtracks and you saw how much I enjoyed them, so now I'm going to make a whole video on soundtracks and I'm just going to wing this. This isn't scripted or anything. I'm just going to go by memory and talk about why I love video game music and showcase some of the soundtracks and particular tracks I love from video games. So let's start right now. Let's go back to the beginning with Atari, and there wasn't really any good music from Atari systems. So basically it was bleeps and blips, and if blips is a word, there really wasn't any music to talk about in Atari that I can remember. You had like Space Invaders, which was like doot 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 and you had like Asteroids, which is like it was similar to Space Invaders actually, but yeah, there's nothing really. I mean, Berserk couldn't even do the voice from the arcade, the voice sound, so there's really nothing. There's no music to talk about. I just wanted to talk about basically how during the Atari days, you didn't really think about music when you played video games. You thought about maybe the sounds, but that was about it. So now jump to the Atari 5200, and this is where I first started to notice music in video games. That game being Ball Blazer from Lucasfilm, before they became LucasArts. This is the first one where I really was like, wow, like the sounds that are coming out of this game are amazing. The music, I was like, I can't believe they're doing music in a video game like this. It was pretty fascinating at the time. It did like, it kind of sounded like some keyboard type music. Well, anyway, here, take a listen for yourselves at Ball Blazer. Pretty cool for the time. Lucasfilm also made a game called Rescue on Fractalus. That wasn't like good for them. I don't really remember the music. There wasn't really much music in this game. I remember it tried to be like 3D at the time. You would even start in outer space and land on a planet, which was, the thought of doing that in 3D back then in a video game was crazy. But I believe this game has the first jump scare ever in a video game, or one of the first jump scares, and I remember it scared the crap out of me when it first happened. I almost fell out of my chair. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this. Yeah, that. So yeah, there isn't much to talk about when it comes to Atari and music in video games, at least as far as I'm concerned. So let's jump to Nintendo, because that's where it starts to get interesting. Let's go to Nintendo Entertainment System. Let's go to all-time favorites. We'll start with Solstice. Now this is where it really gets interesting. As soon as you put this game on, the music just blows you away. I believe the music was done by composer Tim Follin. He used to do Commodore 64 music, and he had this ability of even if the system didn't have like a good sound chip, he had a way of getting good music out of the chip. I don't know what he would do, how he would do it, but he had his own little tricks, and they were amazing what he could do with music. And let's sample right now Solstice and why it sounds so amazing. cool, huh? Especially for the time. Let's talk about Blaster Master because I absolutely love Blaster Master. Like I said in the last video, it's my favorite NES game of all time. I beat the entire game. Each level had its own music, like own look and style. It was one of those games where I would play it and I was excited to get to like the next level just to hear the music. And as you progress in Blaster Master, the music just gets better and better. It's made by Sunsoft, and they're notorious for having some amazing music on the NES. So let's sample some of Blaster Master and why I think it's so awesome. I still love that music. So awesome. Now, Sunsoft also made Fester's Quest, Gremlins 2, and Batman. And you're gonna hear their music almost. I don't know if it's the same composer, but their music has the same sound. Like you can just tell. Like if you've played enough Sunsoft games, they have like a particular sound. The music, and I'm gonna show you here right now the first stage of Fester's Quest, and then you're going to listen to the first stage from Gremlins 2, and you're going to see how they're similar. Well, similar in tone. Watch. Just listen. See what I mean? So these two games are really not. They're not like the best games, but they are. They do have good music. One other thing that Sunsoft loves to do is if you've played Blaster Master, you know that it has two ways of playing the game. It has the regular side scrolling with the vehicle, but then you go into these little rooms and it has the overhead levels. They reused that engine in Fester's Quest and Gremlins 2. Basically, Fester's Quest and Gremlins 2 play like just like the overhead stages from Blaster Master. Something Sunsoft kept repeating, but which is fine. But it's just an interesting thing about Sunsoft games. But then you have Sunsoft's Batman, the video game, based on the movie, and again, great music from Sunsoft. Check this out. Awesome, memorable music there. I think that's basically, for me anyway, that's basically some of my favorite soundtracks on the NES. I never thought music, I know it's probably going to offend some people, I never thought music was that great on the NES. I don't know. Like some tracks, like, yeah, you could say Zelda. And you'll notice I don't have Zelda, by the way, as my all-time favorite. And this is probably blasphemy, but I've barely ever played Zelda. It's just one of those games that was never on my radar, the original Zelda. I just missed it when it first came out, and then as time passed on, I just never played it. And trying to play it today is really hard because it's such an old-looking game. And it's funny because I've played the other Zelda games, the newer ones, Ocarina of Time. I beat Wind Waker. I beat Twilight Princess. I beat, almost beat Breath of the Wild. I'm on the last boss. So, you know, it's interesting, but how you can like the sequels but not have ever played really the first game. But anyway, let's move on to Super Nintendo now. This is where it really gets awesome video game music. So first of all is ActRaiser. Now this was like a showcase for when the Super Nintendo came out. I mean, this is when they were showing off with this game when you bought it. Music is absolutely amazing in this game. It's from Yuzo Koshiro, the same guy that did the music for the Streets of Rage series. And it is just mind-blowing, this music. Just totally creative, totally memorable. You'll play stages just to hear the music. One interesting thing about this game is he borrows music from Clash of the Titans, the movie. Not the newer ones, the original Clash of the Titans. Particularly the scene with, what's the lead guy's name in Clash of the Titans? Perseus? I don't remember. But there's a scene where he has to get Pegasus, the flying horse. He's trying to ride it, like the first time he tries to ride it, and then he goes up in the air. And listen for that particular music when the horse almost throws him off. The music, it's from ActRaiser, the tune, the melody. That's interesting. And also, I'm pretty sure when the Kraken shows up at the end, the music is the same music for the final boss music in ActRaiser. If you want to see more about it, just search on YouTube ActRaiser and Clash of the Titans, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Next up is well, no, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's sample some music from ActRaiser. that's how you do music, huh? That's amazing. Still amazing. Yes, in the last video I talked about battle cars. This game also has awesome music. This is one of the games where I got so excited about the music is when I started recording video game music on audio cassette, and that's when I really started to get into it. And I remember we were living I think at the time we were living with our cousins. They lived downstairs and we lived upstairs. And I remember he rented battle cars, and I think he had to bring it back the next day, battle cars, to Blockbuster or something. What happened was it was in their house or something. It was this is gonna sound dumb, but it was downstairs in their part of the house, which was I wanted to record the music badly for so I woke up really early, like at 5 in the morning, and I snuck down to their house, and I forgot how I got in, through a window or something, and all this just to record the music for battle cards on cassette tape. So I'm sneaking through the house, and I find the game, and I sneak back up into my room, and I record the music on, which I think you can hear. I think I put that audio cassette on YouTube. You can hear the music that was actually recorded that way. I sneaking downstairs to get the game. Because I didn't want to ask him, because he would have asked me what I wanted it for. I don't know. I just didn't want to deal with that. So I recorded all the music on audio cassette. Then I went back downstairs, and they were still asleep, and I snuck the game back in, and that's it. They never found it. So that goes to show you how much I love video game music. Because that could have easily gone bad. They could have thought I was an intruder in their house or something. But anyway, let's see why the battle cars music was so worth it. Still worth it. Okay, next we're going to talk about Contra 3, The Alien Wars. This game, amazing game, has an incredible soundtrack. But I'm going to talk particularly about the first stage, the music. To me, the music in the first stage has always sounded like the music you hear in Rambo: First Blood. When he's hunting the sheriff's men in the forest, they put this music, and I think that's where the first level of Contra 3 got their inspiration for the music for the first stage. And I'm going to do a comparison here now and see how close it is, because if my ears, because maybe I'm going to compare it now, and maybe it wasn't as close as I thought, or maybe it is. So let's see, let's compare. Here's the music for the first stage of Contra 3, The Alien Wars. Okay, now here's the music from Rambo: First Blood. Let's take a listen. Okay, that does sound kind of similar to me. I don't know about you guys, but it does sound pretty close. So, okay, next we're going to talk about Cybernator. Now, the music's really good in this game, and it's a fun little mech game, but it's like side-scrolling shooter. But it's almost like platforming too, this game. But it's a platforming side-scrolling shooter. There's a plat shmup. I don't know. Whatever. What was I going to say? Yeah, so the music from I think it was the first or second stage that I really loved. In particular, this track. Let's listen to it right now and see why I loved it so much. Konami always did some good music. Okay, let's talk about Donkey Kong Country, another mind-blowing game. This game was so mind-blowing that when I first got it and I started playing it, my family was like, usually they didn't pay attention to the video games I played, but when they heard the music, they were like, "What's that music? It's so beautiful." And I was like, "Oh, it's my new game, Donkey Kong Country." And they were all like impressed. I felt like so proud, like, man, this music's even impressing my family. How amazing. Particularly the water level, which is, everybody's heard it, but it's just so beautiful, that water music. The water stage music, it is just amazing. And none of the sequels, as you know, and the sequels were okay, and they had good music too, but nothing ever was as good as the music in that water level. Let's hear why that music was so awesome. I think this game used it was like Clay Fighter. They took like little dolls and scanned them in 3D, so that it would be interesting if they remade Donkey Kong Country now, like remastered, and rescanned the actual original figures if Nintendo still has them or Rare has them. This will never happen though, because Rare doesn't really work well with Nintendo anymore, or whatever, but man, that would be interesting to remaster the game, but now with realistic graphics, like that really looks real now, not the 16-bit graphics. That would be interesting. I used to always play as Diddy Kong because he was faster. Diddy Kong, not to be confused with actress Diddy Kong from Greece, Frenchie. I always thought that was funny, their names are similar. But anyway, let's move right along to Mega Man 7. One of my favorite Mega Man games after Mega Man 2. The soundtrack for this is just amazing. I rented this game and then recorded the soundtrack on audio cassette. I really love the music in this game. It's melodic, it's memorable. I liked it so much that when I would play the game, I would actually make up lyrics to the songs like I'm playing. Like particularly the Cloudman stage. I love that song so much. Let's hear some of the music from Mega Man 7 and why I think it's so awesome. Mega Man 7 classic. And now we're going to talk about STARFOX. Now, this soundtrack is a movie quality soundtrack on the Super Nintendo. A lot of people said it sounded like John Williams, the composer from the Star Wars movies. And yeah, I agree. The music in this is just amazing. This is another one that if you look up STARFOX orchestrated, you'll hear a lot like an orchestrated version of it. Oh my god, it is amazing. Amazing. I have it as one of my favorite videos on my channel. Like, I liked it. It's in a playlist. It's just amazing. So let's hear some of the STARFOX music and why it's so amazing. Wow, that music is still amazing. Love it. Let's talk about Super Castlevania 4. Beautiful soundtrack, hauntingly beautiful. It's creepy, it's unique. It's just got some. It's got some sounds that you've never even heard in other games. I don't know who composed the music. I should, but I don't. Maybe someone in the comments knows. But I think it was a female composer. Because I know there's a female composer that does Castlevania music, but I'm not sure. But whoever did it, it's a masterpiece, this Castlevania. It's also one of the early Super Nintendo games that really showcased the music you could get out of the Super Nintendo. Let's listen to some of the soundtrack from Super Castlevania 4 and why it's so amazing. Awesome. That's just an awesome soundtrack right there. I'm going to talk now about Super Turrican. I'm a little bit scared to talk about this game because it gets copyrighted a lot. I don't know why. The music gets copyrighted a lot. But Super Turrican is one of those hidden gems on Super Nintendo that you gotta try. It's got an amazing soundtrack, beautiful melodic melodies that just surprised me when I first heard this game. Right from the start, you hear that piano playing, just amazing. Just a great classic soundtrack. I'm gonna sample some of the music here. I'm gonna try and put maybe like a little quick snippets of the music, because this gets copyrighted a lot. In fact, it got copyrighted from my audio cassettes, one of the music, and I couldn't even upload it. So I mean, I could edit the song out from the cassette, but I don't know. I want the cassettes to be authentic, like how they were actually. I don't want to cut them up, you know. But anyway, here's hopefully some music that doesn't get copyrighted. If it does get copyrighted, below in the information, I'm gonna put the link to my Facebook page, and the video will be there, and because Facebook doesn't copyright as badly as they don't strike as bad as YouTube. So anyway, let's hear some music from Super Turrican. Still awesome after all these years.